Hey guys, so this is a question that comes up really all the time, and that's how do I spend my guild points? Actually, it's more frequently phrased in should I buy or can I buy a hero from the guild shop? The first answer to that is rule number one: never, ever buy heroes with guild points. You may want to do it if it's your last copy to a 10 star, but seriously, no hero in the guild shop is rare enough that you should ever even consider this. You should hesitate very greatly. I know Medusa is good, I know Vegasir is good, but they're not that rare. The answer is you should always spend it in guild tech. Always. All of it. And so the next question is, where do you prioritize spending it in guild tech? The answer is first, where did it go? Here, number one, cleric speed. Always focus as fast as you can, as early as you can, focus on cleric speed. The reason for this is it's very common for early players to end up with a very cleric heavy team. It really helps a lot in Expedition, it helps a lot in Legion, it helps a lot in all over the place just for survivability to have a very cleric heavy team. And when you have that, you end up saying, well, Saw Machine in Den of Secrets is wrecking me. How do I fight him? The answer is cleric speed. By using this and getting it as high as you can, as fast as you can, all of your clerics will be faster than any Saw Machine in Den at an appropriate strength level, and you'll be faster than him and he won't be able to stop you. So this cleric speed is absolutely the most important tech that you have to level right off the bat. This needs to be raised to the highest possible level that you can afford. Really, you should focus on this until it's maxed, really, before you do anything else. So obviously you have to take these 3 to 10 before you can get there, but once you get there, this should be number one. Once you have gotten this to 50 and you know that Saw Machine will never scare you again, the next one is to focus on dodge. Now there's two major dodge trees here. One is cleric dodge and one is warrior dodge. Now the question is, which one do you do first? The one that is based on whoever your tank is. If you happen to be using Aurelia as a tank early on in the game, which is very common to see, then go ahead and do cleric dodge first. If you switched over to be using someone else, like a Minotaur, Grand, Vegasir, one of those, like a warrior tank, then do this one first. You see that I have both of them leveled up very high, but ultimately I did end up with a warrior tank, so I kind of abandoned this a little bit, and I'll go back to it later, but right now it's not as important for me because a cleric is not my primary tank. You do notice that because this caps at 60 rather than 50, clerics get an inherent 5% higher dodge than warriors do. This is why in later game Verthandi becomes a very viable tank, because she gets a very native 30% dodge here, versus here you get 25. So once you've taken either of these, that was number 2, sorry. Number 3, next priority is to evenly level up attack here, or health, sorry, attack and skill damage. Now the reason that I say here that you should go up to 60, 50, and then 20 is because early on in the game, those were the original old caps for these guild techs. In a later update, when the game went public, they raised them all much higher, and with the upgrades they became much more expensive. So up to these points, 60, 50, and 20, they're still manageably cheap. They're still easy enough to afford, and you can go from there. Hi. That's not useful. Really? So if you level up these to those numbers, they'll be cheap enough that you'll be able to afford them, especially because guild points come very quickly at early points at early stages in the game, because guild bosses die very quickly if your guild has decent strength players. So you'll be able to get all of these up to that point. After you have those 3, you can really go back and fill in anything you want. It's not that important. You'll see that I focused on attack here, but I didn't really do much on HP, and you know, it's entirely up to you where you want to go from there. One of the sad things that is missing is that you'll notice clerics do not have a hit rate one. They also don't have an attack one, so they suffer a little bit, but you can go from there, and really you level whatever you want after that point. There's no must. The must is that you get this HP up high, you get this attack up high, you get this skill damage up high. And then people will ask, how does guild tech work? So let me go into that also. The way that guild tech works is these are permanent upgrades to your team as long as you are in a guild. If you leave a guild, you will lose all of the upgrades, but you'll get them back as soon as you enter a new guild. I think there's a 24-hour downtime before doing that. Maybe it's only 2 hours. I don't remember. You can pay like 100 gems to cancel the cooldown and join another guild immediately. So it's not so bad. So working on guild tech versus working on versus having a hero, one copy of Medusa isn't going to be worth losing, you know, a massive amount of HP on all of your warriors, on all of your clerics, and all of that. So really, this is why rule number 1 exists. Remember, rule number 1, do not ever buy heroes with guild points. These guild tech, these stats that you gain from this are so important that you cannot count them out. And if you and your opponent's teams are evenly leveled, evenly geared, guild tech will make the difference. So I hope this helps. I hope that it helps put to rest the question of should I buy a hero with guild points, because the answer is always a resounding no. That's all. See you next time.